Hello everyone, welcome to Big Data Thoughts. Today's topic is DataOps. So these days a lot of people are talking about something called DataOps. We have heard about DevOps, DevSecOps, MLOps, but there is also a lot of buzz around the topic DataOps. So today we are going to talk about what DataOps is, why it is needed, and what exactly should we do when we say that we have to do DataOps and what are the benefits of it. So let's get started. First of all, let us talk about what are the challenges for which we need DataOps. So in any project, there are a number of things which can go wrong and that would actually hamper the project. For example, miscommunication between teams. Now this is a very common problem, and more than often there are situations where the team are not communicating properly because either they are not located at one place, or there is some kind of a conflict, or there are too many teams who are working together. So there can be miscommunication, lack of collaboration. Then there may be issues in data access because there are so many sources from which we are pulling data, and there are issues in terms of some of them when we are trying to access the data, the kind of agreement we have with the source. There can be, of course, technical debt, where we know that there are certain things which need to be fixed, but there is never the time, or we never got that bandwidth or time to fix those. So there is a lot of technical debt. Sometimes the reason can also be an architecture that was designed and there were some loopholes there which led to an inflexible data architecture which could not scale. So essentially the architecture was not fit to evolve. So these are the very basic things. If they go wrong, the project can actually get hampered. Now what can we do so that these kind of issues are minimized or they do not occur? So one of the answers can be DataOps. Now what is DataOps? DataOps is nothing but data and operations, which means it is a collection of processes, patterns, or best practices that we should follow while we are developing a use case. And it actually applies to everything start to end, starting from data collection to transformation, aggregation, and enabling that data for business users. So this entire pipeline that we are building for our data analytics use case, that pipeline needs to be properly built, monitored, tested, and we need to have certain best practices and processes created around that. That's data ops, operations around the data. Now another definition of data ops can be orchestrating data, tools, code, environments from beginning to end. Like I said, from acquiring data till enabling it to the end user, that whole process. And the aim here is to provide reproducible results and results which are accurate. So that's data ops. We will look into it in more detail and you will understand what exactly it means. But at a high level, the definition is that it is a collection of all the process, patterns, and best practices throughout the life cycle of the data. Now this diagram, this infinity sign actually is for whether we talk about DevOps or DataOps, this infinity sign shows that there is a loop between the two processes. So if you look at this diagram, what it tells us is that all the data engineers and data stewards working together collaboratively with data analysts and scientists. So the left hand side, data engineers and data stewards are the ones who are enabling the data for somebody to use. And on the right hand side are the data analysts or scientists who are actually consuming the output that the data engineers are creating. And how they are creating that output is by building that entire data pipeline and enabling the data from different sources into a form that is useful and consumable by the data scientist or data analyst. So that's the whole pipeline. Now if we look at what needs to be done for that entire pipeline for the project to be successful, is multiple things. If you look at the left hand side loop, what the data engineer and data steward are doing is enabling the data, but in turn what do they have to keep in mind is quality of the data, master data management, lineage of the data, handling custom metadata or any kind of metadata, creating data catalogs, profiling the data, classifying the data. These are the broad level things that they are doing while building that ETL or ELT pipeline to enable the data. Now on the top, if you see, there can be different types of data that is coming in, like all the 3 V's in big data that we talk about. And on the bottom, if you see, these are the consumers who are going to consume the data. The bottom 3 boxes that are there: applications, analytics sandbox, BI tools. These are the end products, or you can say the end consumers, or the ways the consumers are going to consume the data. Now looking at the right hand side of the loop, where people are actually consuming the data, there are many things that will happen. It can be a self-service provisioning where people can actually go drag and drop, create their own reports. It can be a data marketplace where data is given as a service. It can be some data scientists just looking at the data and trying to prepare it for building their models. It can be data enrichment. It can also be sharing of data, annotating it, tagging it. So all in all, this whole loop from left to right is a set of processes that are going on when we are taking data and giving it to the end consumer. So these are the multiple processes happening, and there has to be a very, very good collaboration, communication between these teams of data engineers, stewards, data analysts and scientists. The problems that we spoke about, right? Collaboration miss, communication miss, those should not occur. And all of these processes are a part of that pipeline that is getting built to give the data to the end consumer. So this is more or less the overall picture of how the whole process of enabling data is happening. Now DataOps is important because DataOps will ensure that whatever is the use case, it will help in correctness of data, enabling correctness of data, enabling testing, monitoring and all of that which is necessary to have a robust pipeline. If we look at life cycle of DataOps, right? Like I said, DataOps is data plus ops. So if you see the left hand side, again it's an infinite loop because both of them are closely related. From the left, the business requirement will come in. So if we just look at this, from the left the business requirement comes in, and what is the output? The output is the business value. In the previous diagram we saw who is taking that business requirement and creating the pipeline? The data engineers and stewards. Stewards are also helping the data engineers, and business value is achieved when the data is converted to an information or something useful, and then it is given to the data scientist or the data analyst. So that's the left and right hand side. Now this loop, as we see it, has both data and ops. The data essentially means the pipeline where we are creating an environment, we are building the code or building or developing the code, building it, and we are testing it. So if you look at it this way, how it will happen is first plan, then develop, then build, manage that environment because you are going to go from dev to QA to UAT to production. So manage those environments, test it and release it. Now left hand side is pure operations where we are releasing the code, deploying it and monitoring and managing it in the production. So these two go hand in hand, and all the best practices, tools or design patterns that we establish across this data and ops is known as DataOps. So that is nothing but enabling different best practices by using the best of the tools to help us in taking the business requirement and enabling or deriving business value. So all in all, that is DataOps. And essentially, if we talk about DataOps, there will be three things. It will be a combination of DevOps, Agile and Lean manufacturing. Now I'll explain what each of these mean. First of all, DevOps. DevOps means we are enabling this whole portion of operations where we are ensuring that we are doing a CI/CD, a continuous integration, continuous deployment and continuous delivery. That will also be a part of DataOps. DataOps is like a Uber concept on top of DevOps, Agile and Lean manufacturing. Agile, as we know, we want to build the whole process with a product mindset where we divide our code into smaller components so that it can be tested, maintained, debugged efficiently, and can be given to or put into production by using CI/CD. So that's the agile part. The third part is lean manufacturing. This is based on a Japanese company Toyota's principle, where it's like a factory, right? How a car is produced. There are specialized pieces which each of the team is producing and then it gets joined together. So similarly here, lean manufacturing means we are dividing the code into small components so that it's easy to manage, and then we are delivering it using CI/CD. So all these three, DevOps, Agile and Lean manufacturing, if they are followed properly, that will help in building an entire DataOps pipeline. Now, what are the benefits? Of course, if we can actually take this whole concept and build it, we will be able to achieve high maintainability, testability, speed of development and availability. Now, if I give an example, let's take a use case like a data lake. So this is a very simplistic diagram of a data lake. At a broad level, we will have certain files, or we will have different types of data: structured, unstructured, semi-structured. I have just depicted file in DB here, but let's say there are multiple sources. There will be ingest, there will be cleansing of data, transformation or aggregation, and data will be given to the end consumer. That's a very simplistic view of a data lake. Now, if I talk about data ops and I want to map data ops over this use case, how would it look like? Whatever we spoke about data ops in terms of process, best practices, or what the concept is, how do we overlay that here? So if I have to do data ops, what I'll do is I will have some metadata management built into my pipelines. Collection of metadata. I would have to do master data management. Now there are tools in the market to do master data management, like Informatica has and other big vendors have master data management tools, but it depends on the use case or what we are trying to select. But essentially we have to do master data management. We have to do data cataloging, data classification, data quality, monitoring. So for all of these processes, essentially there are multiple tools in the market, but what is important is to have data ops or total control over the pipeline and to be able to monitor it effectively to reduce time and effort. We have to have all of these processes in place. We have to have a Uber data governance built around, which includes logging, which includes lineage, overall data governance and security of data. So all of these processes, if they are established in our on our platform, if all of these processes are established, then we can achieve data ops, which is complete control over our pipeline. And this will ensure that whatever happens, first of all, effort of testing, development, maintenance, everything is reduced, and whatever is happening, we can monitor it, capture it and take preemptive action. So that's data ops. And last but not the least, we will also have CI/CD pipelines built, because that will give automation. We will have automated test as well running with my CI/CD pipeline, so that this entire process is seamless, because DevOps is also part of DataOps. So this is all about what DataOps is as a concept. How do we implement? Because we have spoken about the implementation in bits and pieces in multiple videos, but if I have to put everything together and have a control over the pipeline, that is DataOps. So thank you so much guys. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel to get more interesting videos. Thank you.